my name is Candace Welcome-Myers, and I'm Amy's sister.
My name is Jacqueline Dona. I am from Ansonia, Connecticut. Nobody's ever heard of it. It's a very small town. And I can't remember what else you asked me. I was born in America. My father is African American and my mother is white American, but I personally identify as African American.
I'm from a lot of different backgrounds. My nationality is Caymanian. My dad is Caymanian. My mom is Jamaican. My dad has Scottish and Irish ancestry. My mom has Syrian and African ancestry.
I'm cute, okay? So I think it took me a while to get to that point of being like confident, and the I'm cute represents confidence. It took me a while to get to that place where I'm like, I am all that I am, and all that I am is great. So I think now I can confidently say like, I'm really okay with my identity as a biracial individual who identifies as African American, who's a woman, who is all of these complex things.
I've always known growing up that I was mixed, especially because of my grandmothers. I didn't get a chance to meet my grandfathers, but my grandmother on my mom's side, she was very dark, and my grandmother on my dad's side was very light. So I knew from a young age that we were mixed, and that helped me to appreciate, both sides of the spectrum, because I loved both of my grandmothers equally.
Based on the way that society is set up, and based on like the fact that race even exists as a social construct, I think there is a part of society that has played a role in like me choosing my identity. I think growing up, I felt, I don't want to say forced, but I definitely felt influenced, or I guess like pressured to choose one. And I think a large part of my decision to identify the way that I identify, like I will never reject the fact that I'm biracial, like that is literally who I am. But I think when it comes to identifying, rarely do I ever get identified as white. Like I've never, actually there was one incidence, but anyway, I rarely am in a space and somebody's like, oh, you're just white. It's always like, you're black and then they're always kind of questioning like, what is that other thing? Or some people have just been like, oh, you're black. I just thought you were like light-skinned black. Like I see people like you all the time that are just black. So I think there is some influence from society and the way that the system is set up in America based on race that influenced me to say, people see me as mostly black or black and something else. So I think that's where I feel most comfortable, because those are the spaces I've been in the most. In my house, like obviously my mother's white, but everybody else is black. And even some of my like extended family, like they're all black. So I think just the space that I've been in, my culture, like the culture that was dominant in my household, I think that has all contributed to me to identify more so with black culture than with white culture.
Well, I do think that America, they tend to want to put you in a box when it comes to your ethnicity, because they have certain demographics that they want to make sure that you fall under. But when I don't feel like I fit under those demographics, so usually when I sign a form or anything like that, I usually just check other and write mixed. And that's okay for me, but at the same time, that's just one example. A lot of people in the States unfortunately believe in this one drop makes you black idea. So because I'm obviously not white, the first thing is that they're gonna think is, I must fit into, I must be somehow African American, and I might have African ancestry, but I'm not American and I'm not African. I wasn't born in Africa. Neither would I consider myself to be Caucasian. For me, I wouldn't want to leave out my mom's side or my dad's side. I think that both sides are important, so that's why.
So I've been on a journey with my hair probably for the past, I think it's been like going on 4 years maybe since I've straightened my hair. I realized that societal pressures would cause me to straighten my hair. I remember growing up, I would look at some of the girls who had straight hair, and they did this thing where, like, when your hair gets in your face and you take your hand and you push it back and then it like feathers back. I wanted that so bad. Oh my goodness. Like, I just thought it was the greatest thing ever. And so I remember like straightening my hair and like trying to do that. And so, yeah, after just reflecting, I realized that a lot of the reason why I would straighten my hair was because I felt like I looked prettier. I felt like it was more acceptable. I felt like I got more attention when I straightened my hair. And so as this, like, I started to, understand more about racism, systematic oppression, history, the whole 9 yards, I came to a point where I was like, okay, 1, I don't want to damage my hair anymore if I keep putting this heat on it. And 2, I really just want to love myself for who I am and everything that I come with. And I come with this. So yeah, I love it. I think it's empowering for other people to see my hair and be like, oh shoot, I could do that. So yeah.
If you haven't yet found yourself, it can sometimes feel difficult to identify with a particular race, because I don't think the world has really yet put a label or a name on mixed people, because most times it's either you're black or white. President Obama, he was clearly mixed. His mom is white, his dad is black. That's clear. But to the world or to America, he's seen as the first black president. But is that really true? So I don't think that a lot of people really see the mixed race as a race as yet. I think it's kind of growing, because a lot of people are saying that in a couple years there's going to be a lot more interracial marriages and so on like that. So maybe things will change.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever felt fully accepted by the white community as a whole. And obviously that's a generalization. Like, I don't know the whole white community. But in most of the spaces that I've been in, yeah. Now let me think on the flip side, like the black community, has there ever been a time when I haven't felt accepted? Yes, the answer is yes. There has been times when I haven't felt fully accepted, but I know a lot of it is me projecting. So that internal struggle of I'm not black enough, or I'm not white enough, or I'm not this enough. I think I've been exposed to things on social media and in the media in general of not being enough because I am biracial. And so I think sometimes it's me projecting. It's me oh, I'm light-skinned and I have light-skin privilege, so maybe I shouldn't be in this space, or maybe I shouldn't talk about this, or maybe I shouldn't say this. So I think most of the time it's a projection though, because my group of friends, they've never done anything or said anything that made me feel like I wasn't enough, or I didn't have a seat at the table, so.
I was amongst a group of friends, and I have friends of various nationalities and races and everything. So at this table, there were people, both Caucasian, both African American, and Caribbean, and everybody, was there at the table. And I don't know how the conversation came to us talking about where we were from and all those kind of things, but I think we were just meeting some people at the table. So everybody was introducing themselves and saying where they're from. And it came to my part, and I said, that I am from Cayman Islands, I am mixed and so on, and I went on to explain myself. And then the person who was very, very light and red-headed said to me, well, you must have some black in you. And I said, yes, I do. I do have some black in me, but I also have white. I have cousins that look just like you. The way how they said it, it was as if it was impossible for me to have had, family that looked just like them. you know, so it's clear that some people still have that idea that you can't have a mixture of cultures in your blood or something, which is very strange in this day and age.
I remember when Black Panther came out. I remember feeling like, first of all, I knew I could go to the movie. Like, there was no question about that. But I felt like, ooh, can I dress up? Because I'm not African from the continent of Africa. Obviously, my ancestors, somewhere down the line, that's where they're from, but I'm African American. So it's a different context, if it's a different culture. So I remember having a lot of conversations with my friends surrounding like that idea of like, you know, what is allowed in this space when celebrating Blackness? Like, can I wear African garb to this movie? So I think that's one time when I was like, ooh, I don't know if this is for me in a sense.
After having the conversation with this guy, it kind of made me, you know, really think about, I don't know, I guess my place and, you know, within my family, within, you know, my group of friends and everything, because my best friends are all darker than me, and, you know, a lot of the friends that I had at Andrews were all, most of them were either lighter or darker than me. So I was kind of, again, in the middle, which is usually where a mixed person, you know, fits in, is in the middle. So I guess it kind of made me step back a little bit. I guess really think about how other people see me. But it shook me up for a little bit, but I don't think it made me so shaken that I felt like, I don't know, that what he said identified me or changed who I was.
I remember I was 10 years old, probably like 10, between 8 and 10, and I was at my friend's house and we were swimming in her pool, and this is what I do all the time. I'm at her house and we swim in the pool, and her grandfather was over that particular day, and he had said to his daughter, which was my friend's mom, he had said to her, oh, like, why is there a niglet swimming in the pool? I didn't know what that was. Like, I was between 8 and 10, but I remember her mom calling my parents and like apologizing, and it was like this big thing. And at the time I didn't understand like the weight and the depth of that, but I think as I got older I realized, oh, people see me as Black. Even though I am like lighter skinned, even though I am biracial, like, I'm seen as Black, so yeah.
I think it's hard for me to feel like I'm a part of a specific group, because I'm not necessarily a part of a specific group according to the world standards then, I guess I should say, because most people expect you to either choose to be Black or choose to be white. So because I don't identify with either, and I consider myself to be mixed, it would be hard for me to, you know, identify with either group.
So in 6th grade, they were giving out awards, and this award was for an African-American student, 2 African-American students who excelled academically. I didn't know this at first. So my teacher pulled me outside, and she was just like, so when you take the standardized test, what bubble do you circle for race? And I was like, Black, African-American? And she was like, oh, okay. And then just sent me in the class, and I was like, okay. And then my next period, teacher pulled me out of the class, did the same thing, and I was like, Black/African-American? And I had no idea, like I didn't really question it much at the time, like I didn't ask the teacher any questions because I'm a student who's in 6th grade, so. But then later on that year, I got a letter in the mail saying that I had just won this award, and it's for, you know, African-Americans who excel academically, and I was like, oh, that's why they asked me. So I remember that causing me to think like, wait, so my parents say I'm African-American, like that's what I should circle. I know my dad's Black, I know my mom's white, but like, what does that really make me? Because my teacher was a little confused. It seemed like she was confused. And then the other teacher was kind of confused, but they knew something. So I remember like feeling like, okay, I don't really know what to identify as. And then I remember attending the first award ceremony, and I won it 2 more times after that. The first time, I remember being like, I felt a little out of place. And I don't know if I would have felt out of place if that teacher and the other teacher hadn't pulled me out. So I don't know if I would have felt out of place. But I remember feeling like, do I deserve to be here? Like, do I deserve this award? Or like, yeah, so I remember having that tension. now I will say proudly, yes, I deserve that award. But yeah, so that was a time where I was like, I don't know.
I think it's clear I've decided to, embrace both sides of my, ethnicities, because I love being who I am. I love being mixed. I love that my family is, full of diversity, which is something that I appreciate, and something that I love. So I wouldn't change that for anyone.
Based on the way that our system is set up here in America and pretty much the whole world, because there are labels for everything, I feel as if there is a side that sometimes people put you in when you don't necessarily, they don't know if that's even what you identify as. I think if I didn't embrace both, I wouldn't be true to who I am. Like, I am both, so like I can't not be one because I am both. So I think for me, just because I identify as African American doesn't mean that I am rejecting the fact that I do have ancestry that is from Europe, or that I'm rejecting the fact that my mother is white, because she's a big part of who I am. So because I identify as African American, that's how I identify, but I embrace who I am as a whole, because I wouldn't look the way I am. I wouldn't look the way I look. I wouldn't be who I am if I wasn't both, so.